Tired of fake news from newspapers you can't trust? Now there's a newspaper that's fair and balanced, upholding a moral society grounded in virtue, the Epoch Times. Epoch is the new era in newspapers, offering a new vision of the New York-style traditional newspaper, delivering fair and balanced journalism on the presidency, American news, and world affairs. Exclusive news from China you won't find anywhere else, plus arts and culture, mind and body, travel, and more. Epoch Times tirelessly chases the truth, presenting a clear, objective view of events, allowing you to draw your own conclusion. Subscribe to the Epoch Times in print or digital. Log on to readepoch.com. That's readepoch.com. Or call 888-853-4774. 888-853-4774. The truth you seek, the features you want. The Epoch Times, 888-853-4774. 888-853-4774.
Hi, this is Kathleen Wells, host of The Naked Truth Report. And guess what, folks? The Naked Truth Report supports pro-English. And I'd like my truth warriors and mythbusters to support them too. Pro-English is the nation's leading advocate for English as the official language. They advocate for legislation in D.C., on Capitol Hill, in the White House, and in state houses across America in an effort to persuade lawmakers to adopt English as the official language at all levels of government. Right now, Pro-English supports the English Language Unity Act in Congress. And guess what? They're also working with the courts and the Court of Public Opinion to defend English's historic role as America's common and unifying language. 81% of Americans say that English should be the official language of the USA. And that's our position, and we want Congress to act now. Winston Churchill said the gift of a common language is a priceless inheritance. And President Teddy Roosevelt said, we have but one flag, we must also learn one language, and that language is English. So I'm asking you, truth warriors and mythbusters, to join me and the Naked Truth Report in supporting Pro-English today. You can follow Pro-English on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can visit their website at proenglish.org. That's right, proenglish.org. Show them some love.
Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth!
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Hi, Truth Warriors. It's me, your host, Kathleen, host of the Naked Truth Report. It's me, Kathleen Wells. And let's see. This show is pre-recorded. As I mentioned last week, I was going to pre-record this show. It's Wednesday, and before I came into the studio, I was sitting at home watching Fox News. I always watch Fox because I think they're the most informative. And while I'm watching the news, I have my tablet, and I'm also looking at the YouTube channels. Like I like the Bill Still Report, and I also watch what else? H.A. Goodman, his channel, and I also like Dick Morris. Anyway, I was sitting transfixed in front of the TV thinking, here comes by the fact that a third accuser against Kavanaugh was coming up. But let me back up a little bit and say that before I talk about the Kavanaugh hearing, when this show airs, I'm actually going to be in D.C. at a writer's workshop on immigration. They have it annually. This is my second year. And so when this show is going to be aired, I will actually be in D.C. at this writer workshop. It'll probably be 10 p.m. So I'll probably be having dinner or something like that. And last year, this is at this writer's workshop on immigration. This is where I met Stephen Camarada with the Center for Immigration Studies, and let's see who else. Dan Stein with FAIR, and Mr. Vincent, I think it's John Vincent, Vinson. So I met those. And also, my sponsor, Pro English, Stephen Gustav, will be at the immigration. We have. And also one of my guests, I know, Dr. Carol Swain will be speaking, and also Candace Owens is going to be speaking at the. So it's going to be fantastic, and a lot more people. It's going to be fantastic. I went last year, and this is how I become an expert in immigration. This is how I learn the numbers. This is how I learn what to look at and what is important in terms of data. What are the trends, et cetera, et cetera. I started learning about immigration's adverse impact on Black America first with Dr. Claude Anderson, who has been a guest twice on the Naked Truth Report. But anyway, when you listen to this show, know that I'm in D.C. and I'm getting all the information to bring back to you, Truth Warriors, on immigration. It's a good thing. So anyway, let me continue on about what I was talking about. Yeah, I'm pretty much been out of shape over this fact that there's a third accuser, but we all knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming. The Democrats we saw that, I watched the hearing the first day when Kamala Harris and Cory Booker was like, I am Spartacus. It was clear from the get-go, it was clear on that day that Democrats wanted to halt the confirmation hearing. That was their intention. That was their motivation. In fact, it was so dramatic that I think all the Democratic senators on the Judiciary Committee said something about halting the confirmation hearing. So now we move fast forward to today, and where are we? They want to halt the confirmation hearing. And what do they use now? Since they couldn't come up with anything else, well, they get in their grab bag, so to speak, and come up with sexual assault. That will definitely do it. And they keep saying, let's halt it, let's halt it, let's halt it. They're obsessed about halting the confirmation hearing. And, I don't know, Republicans, a lot of us feel like the Republicans haven't been steadfast, haven't been firm. But, what can they do? They're sort of put in into a conundrum or something, or a paradox, or their backs up against the wall, because they don't want to seem like they're just so malicious and so, aggressive against, so anti-women. But that's not the issue. You see, the issue is that, people who believe the Democrats need to do a little bit of research, need to do a little homework, and understand that the Democrats have sort of like a playbook. This is a pattern and practice of what they do. It's never substance. It's always like, in fact, Trump said it in the press conference that he gave after his speech at the UN General Assembly. He said, it's a con. See, the Democrats listen, Democrats have conned Black America for 5 decades. Now they're conning America. And, as I was saying, I was driving into the studio this afternoon because I'm pre-recording this. So I came in the afternoon, Wednesday afternoon. And so we haven't heard from Christine Baisley yet, Baisley Ford. We don't know if she's going to testify. I don't know. I can't predict that. I'm leaning towards that she won't show up. I won't know. But by the time you guys hear this on Sunday, you will know if she testified or not. She has all these conditions and contingencies as to whether or not she can testify. But when I was driving in the studio this afternoon, I was listening to Dennis Prager. I recommend him. He's very thoughtful. He gives us a distinction between intelligence and knowledge. No, intelligence and wisdom. It's one thing being intelligent, there's another thing being wise. Also, he gives us the distinction between liberals and leftists. Liberals and leftists. I believe these distinctions matter. Democrats take a hammer, and most Black Americans do also, that I can see from social media. They take a hammer to everything. There's no nuance. There's no subtlety. There's no proportionality. It's either racism or not. It's either sexism or not. It can't be something else. It can't be something like, well, maybe it's a nuisance, or maybe it's obnoxious. It doesn't have to necessarily be harassment. It makes me think that Democrats have a limited vocabulary. So do we want to be, and also they use these sort of like phraseology, and this is something that Karami, what is it? C.M. at Karami talked about Iran and theocracies and communist governments. They use phraseology like free trade, and it's not free trade. So Democrats use phraseology to hide the fact that they're not thinking critically about the issues. And then, and I need Black Americans to start peeling back the onion and connecting the dots. Peel back the onion. No, don't react to just everything that is put out by the mainstream media. Don't immediately react. Try to think it through. Or, take some time. Take a deep breath. Maybe take a yoga class or something. I don't know. But take a deep breath. Step back for a second. And don't just react. Adults are supposed to be critical in thought. Thoughtful, at least, right? Let me think about it before I react. The most disappointing thing is to listen to Washington Journal and hear those Democratic callers. They all say the same thing. It's all about hating Trump. Hating Trump because they hate his personality. He's an idiot. He's an imbecile. Everyone at the General Assembly was laughing at Trump. Listen, this is, the notion that people who haven't been able, and they're always Black callers. I call into Washington Journal, and I even said to one of the hosts, I said, all these Black callers, I'm a Black American, and all these Black callers are like hating Trump. And he said, well, how do you know they're Black callers? Well, I know a Black caller. If they're hating Trump, they're Black. But not only that, but I can tell by their voice, Black folks, our voices generally tend to be, women particularly, and men, tend to be deeper, kind of deeper toned and so on and so forth. And then you can tell the way they put the words together and so on. I'm Black. I know how Black people sound. I know when I hear a Black voice, right? I couldn't get every single one right, but you're going to be batting pretty good odds getting, that's a Black caller. And you can tell what they say because it's always the orange man, that imbecile. These are people these callers act like they haven't, lost their communities in the last 5 decades. They haven't opened up a business in the last 5 decades. Their families aren't together. Most of these women have been raising these kids by themselves with all this stress. That's very stressful to raise kids with no help. Financially, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, stressful to raise children by you. But here come these experts who can't keep a man in the house, right? Who can't keep a community on the Washington Journal, who can't open a business, but they got Trump all figured out. They have the 411 on Trump. But they can't keep a man. They can't open a hot dog stand. But they got Trump all figured. This is amazing to me, this kind of disconnect from reality. So we know these are the lowest common denominators. And that's the thing. Do we want the masses of people, do we want American people to be advised to follow the lead or to take advice from the lowest common denominator? Or do we want the American people to be led by people who are well-researched, understand policies, peel back peel back the onion. What does the onion have skin? Peel back the skin on the onion, and connect the dots. Who do we want to take advice from? So this is what I don't understand. How do these people feel like who call into Washington Journal? How do they feel like? How are they not embarrassed? I wish some of the hosts on the Washington Journal would, ask these people, well, tell me, what is your life like? You have so much information on Trump. You got Trump figured out. You know his psychological state. You've never even met the man, and you figured out that he's a narcissist. You haven't even met the man, and you know that he's mentally unstable. So let's turn it back on you. What is your life like? Tell me what your life is like. How you living? That's, I think I would love for the host to do that, but they're not going to do that. But anyway, let me get back. I lost my place, and because I get off. But what I wanted to say is that this third accuser has come up now. And, some of us could foresee this, the foreseeability test. Some of us could foresee that the aim and the intent of the Democrat is to halt these proceedings for as long as possible. Why? I don't, because even if Kavanaugh is not confirmed, we know that I think, Trump has a woman waiting in the background. I think her name is Amy Barrett. She's a conservative Catholic with 7 kids. She would be next. So what are they going to do with her? I mean, in other words, no one is good enough. Nothing is right. Nothing is right for the Democrats. It's their way or the highway. And what are we going to do with these 63 million Trump supporters that voted for Trump? In other words, the 63 million people, and this is growing. We know the Rasmussen poll said that 33% of Black Americans are now supporting Trump. So we have 63 million, which has grown since we've seen his performance now for the last 2 years. So what are we going to do with those folks? Because Democrats want it their way or no way. They want it their way or no way. And Blumenthal, I think his name, what is his name? Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut, the Democrat. I just heard him heard him say something to the effect that, if the Republicans, if his Republican colleagues go forward with the vote on Friday, they're immoral. They lack morals. I just, the idea, so you see, I'm trying to figure out why doesn't anyone ask, wait a minute, friend, to put it nicely, Democrats have destroyed Black America. The data is clear. I say that all the time. So we're taking advice, or we're using the standard from folks who have destroyed a whole group, Black Americans. Democrats have destroyed Black America, but we're going to take their advice on morality. See, but no one brings that up because there are not enough Black folks in the media who are conservative who is putting it to these Democrats. Because these Black politicians, these Black preachers, these Black talking heads, the Democrats, they go along with the Democrats. No one puts it to Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton or whoever else, all those folks on CNN, the Black folks and the Black politicians. Who's my Congresswoman? Karen Bass. Maxine Waters. No one puts it to them. Hey, wait a minute. Slow your roll. What's the data? What's the data on Black America since they've been with the Democratic Party? Because the epitome of immorality is destroying Black America. So, you have no legitimacy. You have no credibility to talk about what's right and wrong when you have completely destroyed a whole group of people who've been in this country for 460 years. We are the descendants of slaves, and we've been in America for 460 slaves. And Democrats want to put illegal aliens right over us. They want to, they're running roughshod over us in New York, in Los Angeles. Black folks don't even have Harlem anymore. Harlem is now, Latino. This is like a historical place that is so Black America is Harlem. It is our culture. Nothing but Harlem. And when a Black man can't find a job in Harlem, there's a problem. So, these things have been going on with the Democrats because, I've played with this illegal alien business for decades, because remember, I played Izola Foster. She was talking to Sheila Jackson Lee about this. Terry Anderson's been, so this has been going on for decades. So how do Democrats have any moral authority whatsoever? How? That's the question. So anyway, I wanted to read an article that I found because I think that is relevant. It is an article by Dr. Jack D. Minze, M-I-N-Z-E. The confirmation hearing is a joke. We know it's a joke. Listen, Republicans want to halt the proceedings until they come up with, because there'll be another accuser. If they don't take a vote on Friday, there'll be another, and I won't know because I'm pre-recording this show. You guys, when you hear this show, you'll know on Sunday whether or not what happened. I can't wait to come back to you so that we can delve into it more. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you believe that went down? You know what I mean? Because we know something's coming, and it's not going to be cool. I hope the Republicans take a vote. But anyway, this Dr. Mincy, the confirmation hearing is a joke. When I come back from the break, I'm going to read that. When I come back from the break, I'm going to read his report because I think it's relevant. I think it's meaningful. And that's another reason why I want you to listen to Dennis Prager, because he's thoughtful. He's thoughtful. He says things that are meaningful and relevant, which is something you rarely get from Democrats. Anything meaningful and relevant. Okay, before we go to the break, we're gonna hear the Ronnie C. Wright Minute, right? So let's hear the Ronnie C. Wright Minute. We'll be right back.
This is the Ronnie C. Wright Minute. Thought-provoking political commentary brought to you by PromptJet. PromptJet.com. This week's Timeless Message Award for faith, freedom, focus, family, finance, and fitness goes to due process, the legal requirement that the state must respect all legal rights owed to a person. Yes, process, Process, protective rights offering citizens everyday safeguards systematically. Thanks, Founding Fathers, for especially producing and providing due process as a citizen's entitlement. Back to you, Kathleen.
Hi, this is Kathleen Wells, host of the Naked Truth Report. And guess what, folks? The Naked Truth Report supports pro-English. And I'd like my truth warriors and mythbusters to support them too. Pro-English is the nation's leading advocate for English as the official language. They advocate for legislation in D.C., on Capitol Hill, in the White House, and in state houses across America in an effort to persuade lawmakers to adopt English as the official language at all levels of government. Right now, Pro-English supports the English Language Unity Act in Congress. And guess what? They're also working with the courts and the Court of Public Opinion to defend English's historic role as America's common and unifying language. 81% of Americans say that English should be the official language of the USA. And that's our position, and we want Congress to act now. Winston Churchill said the gift of a common language is a priceless inheritance. And President Teddy Roosevelt said, we have but one flag, we must also learn one language, and that language is English. So I'm asking you, truth warriors and mythbusters, to join me and the Naked Truth Report in supporting Pro-English today. You can follow Pro-English on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can visit their website at proenglish.org. That's right, proenglish.org. Show them some love.
Tired of fake news from newspapers you can't trust? Now there's a newspaper that's fair and balanced, upholding a moral society grounded in virtue, the Epoch Times. Epoch is the new era in newspapers, offering a new vision of the New York-style traditional newspaper, delivering fair and balanced journalism on the presidency, American news, and world affairs, exclusive news from China you won't find anywhere else, plus arts and culture, mind and body, travel, and more. Epoch Times tirelessly chases the truth, presenting a clear, objective view of events, allowing you to draw your own conclusion. Subscribe to the Epoch Times in print or digital. Log on to readepoch.com. That's readepoch.com. Or call 888-853-4774. 888-853-4774. The truth you seek, the features you want. The Epoch Times, 888-853-4774. 888-853-4774.
That music puts me in a good mood, right? It's kind of mellow. And, you know, it's a good thing because I'm not in front of the TV watching this confirmation hearing, which has become a joke. But before I read that article that I mentioned before, I want to go back to what I heard on the Dennis Prager show when I was driving into the station. He was talking, he had a caller call in who works for she works for the prison system. I think she's a counselor. And she said she deals with women who have been sexually abused or assaulted. And what she has found, and what she spoke about is the fact that all of the people are victims, as opposed to working. They have a necessity to assert how much they've been a victim, as opposed to a necessity to find healing. See, this is the thing. I think that we're in a race to find who can be the biggest victim in America. So, there has not, and this is my theory. See, I do think, one thing we know for sure. Oh, and, Dennis Prager makes a difference. I said this before. He makes a distinction between liberals and leftists. So I think that Black Americans have been victimized by liberals or leftists. Yes, this is an example. We're seeing it now because I think Kavanaugh is being victimized by leftists. So we know Black Americans have been victimized by leftists, by the left. So there's no, there is not, we see it with Kavanaugh. He's being victimized, yes. So there's some legitimacy to that where blacks have a gripe, so to speak. Because, it's not about just slavery. I said there's been black codes, blah, 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 blah. Black codes, meritorious manumission, and sunset laws. But what we needed in America is I've said this before, a reconciliation between Black America and white America. But instead of that happening, Democrats had the Immigration Act of 1965. And so all these immigrants and illegal aliens have been put in black neighborhoods. So blacks haven't got, things have not been resolved. Also, blacks have been with the Democrats, so they've been victimized by leftists. So things need to be resolved. So the issue about this victimhood stuff is that everyone is racing now on the left to say who can be the biggest victim. Women or black folks? Who's the biggest victim? Women want to be the biggest victim now, right? And they're victimizing, the left are victimizing Kavanaugh. Because, come on, this guy is like a studious nerd geek type, and now they've turned him into a serial rapist and a drunkard. I think this third accuser even said something like he witnessed, don't quote me on this, but I think she said that Kavanaugh had witnessed 12 separate incidents of serial rape. How absurd is that? That is absurd. So they are, yes, victimizing Kavanaugh. Something that I always say, something I've been saying is that, white conservatives now are being treated like the way black men have been treated. So yes, the left does victimize folks, but they want to be the victim. And, something needs to be done. And I think more Black Americans who are conservative, who are abandoning liberal ideology, need to speak up. More like Candace Owens, like me. More of us, and I know, unhyphenated American is Christopher, his last name is Harris, yes. More, and then, I had the panel discussion with Brandon Tatum and David J. Harris. More of us need, and the amazing Lucas and Adrian Norman, more of us need to speak up. Because I think, us Black Americans can sort of remedy this, okay? Because when a white man goes up against Angela Rye on CNN, she is now the victim. She's wearing that badge of victimhood. I'm a Black American. How dare you talk to me logically and rationally, because it's about my emotions of being the victim. But the one thing that Angela Rye doesn't realize, because she can't peel back the layers of the onions or connect the dots, or maybe she's just getting paid like Maxine Waters. But one thing she can't realize is that you're being victimized by the left, just like Kavanaugh is being victimized by the left right now. It's not conservatives who have victimized you. It's the left that has victimized you. So Angela Rye, you need to jump back a bit, take a breath, and regroup. But, she's probably getting paid to be a victim. Anyway, or, to feel like, the enemy are the conservatives. Historically, we know that's not true. And I know that there are Black conservatives who are now running for office. That's another good thing. I think there's one guy out of Michigan and another guy, I can't remember where he's out of. This is a good thing. I think more Black conservatives need to run, yes. We've had and I talk about this before, we've had 5 decades of liberal ideology and it has failed Black America. But before I get to reading the piece that I wanted to read, because I'll forget, I want to play two audios from Joe Biden in the 1991 Clarence Thomas hearings. This is very, very, very important, and it shows you how Democrats is simply about moving the ball so that they can maintain control and power. That's all they're about. So I want to play the first cut, which is where Joe Biden is making it quite clear that the irrelevance of the FBI. Can you play that cut one? Thanks.
The next person that refers to an FBI report as being worth anything obviously doesn't understand anything. FBI explicitly does not, in this or any other case, reach a conclusion. Period. So, Judge, there's no reason why you should know this. The reason why we cannot rely on the FBI report, you wouldn't like it if we did, because it is inconclusive. They say he said, she said, and they said. Period. So when people wave an FBI report before you, understand, they do not reach conclusions. They do not make, as my friend points out more adequate, they do not make recommendations.
Okay, that was Joe Biden. In fact, he was the chairman of the judiciary. The Democrats were in control at the Clarence Thomas hearings. He made it he was emphatic, passionate, in fact, that the FBI is irrelevant, meaningless when it comes to this type of scenario. Because the Clarence Thomas hearings was this type of scenario where a woman was making accusations, Anita Hill, against Clarence Thomas, the conservative. So we've seen this before, but you see how Democrats are always moving the goalpost, always reinventing the goal, always pushing it aside. It's called what? Double standards. It's called hypocrisy. That's what Democrats are, and that's why Black folks need to peel back the layers of the onion, connect the dots. So that's what Joe Biden said. Now today, all these folks, these Democrats today are saying, oh no, you have to have an FBI investigation. That's the only way we got to go. We've got to halt this hearing, halt this vote, and have an FBI investigation, right? So, okay, that's another cut I would like to play is cut 2, which is where we're talking about the burden of proof. Now, before we play it, we know that our country is built on we're a nation of laws. That's how they put it. The fabric of America is the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, the Constitution. We are a democratic republic, democracy. So laws matter. We have to have values, guiding principles, and laws. The Constitution establishes those guiding principles for us, right? So now let's listen to cut 2, please. Thanks.
And lastly, Judge, with me from the beginning and at this moment until the end, the presumption is with you.
So the presumption of innocence is with the one being accused, not the accuser. The presumption of innocence is with, because you're innocent until proven guilty, right? You're innocent until proven guilty. And, we don't believe every woman. We don't believe any gender. We believe evidence and we seek truth. It's not about a gender. The Democrats are now trying to, set up a gender war. If they can't have a race war, they'll have a gender war, dividing men and women. That's the last thing we need, because believe me, Black folks need more daddies in the home, need more stable families. We only have 25% two-parent families. We need more traditional families. This group is not a good group. We need to get rid of them. It's undoubted. Anyway, you heard the presumption of innocence is with the accused. And that was clear. That was 1991, Joe Biden in front of the Clarence Thomas hearings, the Anita Hill hearings. But you hear that all these Democrats today are saying the presumption of innocence is with who? The accuser, the woman. She's a fragile flower, even though she's a professional woman. She's a professional woman, but she is also fragile. Let me ask you, how can you be, how can you want equality with men? Wasn't the feminist movement about creating equal pay, equality with men? And you're so fragile. You're not empowered, you're fragile. You're not seeking healing if something went wrong. You're seeking to be a victim. Life is not perfect for anyone. It never turns out exactly the way we think it should turn out for anyone. Very few people have life turn out exactly the way they anticipate or fantasize about or wish it to be. But the measure of a person's character is, how do you deal with adversity? How do you deal with things not going exactly the way you would like them to go? You pick yourself up and you dust yourself off. You stay positive. You stay on your journey. But do you go around being a victim throughout life? All adult people know that that's the wrong approach to take to living. To be a victim. That's the wrong approach. So Democrats want to victimize, women are now the new victim. Or women, if it's not illegal aliens, it's women. If it's not women, it's blacks. This is all they've got to offer. And I hope and I'm sure more of us are talking about these ideas. So I hope all of this backfires. When I come back from my week in D.C., we will know what has happened, right? While I'm pre-recording this, Christine Baisley Ford has not testified yet. Okay, so I don't know what's going to happen. I can't even foresee. I know that the Democrats want to halt this proceeding for as long as possible. I hope that Grassley brings it to a vote. Will they get all the votes? Let's hope so. And another thing that I want to say, we want this guy on the Supreme Court. Why? Because there's I don't have the name of the case, but there's a case that's in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that is making it an illegal alien case about sanctuary cities coming out of the Ninth Circuit that's working its way up to the Supreme Court. We want this guy in the Supreme Court so that it's not tied 4-4 and sit back down as is to the Court of Appeals, Ninth Circuit. We want a definitive answer, and we know it's time now for conservative principles, because we've had 5 decades of liberal ideology and it hasn't worked. It's given us gender fluid and 66 genders, and that's not happening, folks. Okay? So anyway, let me see. I have a little bit more time. How long do I have? Oh, I have 10 minutes. Let me read this article by Jack Minzey, Minzey. The confirmation hearing is a joke. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I just want to read a few excerpts. The confirmation hearing is a joke by Dr. Jack D. Minzey, Minzey. And he says, Democrats have rejected our system of government. This isn't dissent. It's not disagreement. You can hate the other party. You can think they are the worst thing that ever happened to the country. But then you work harder to win the next election. When you consistently reject the results of elections that you don't win, what you want is a dictatorship. He spoke earlier about how, Bush was rejected. Remember, it went to the Supreme Court and all that stuff. They said that election wasn't legitimate because the Supreme Court decided in favor of Bush. There's the next paragraph. The only legitimate exercise of power in this country, according to Democrats, is its own. Whenever Republicans exercise power, it's inherently illegitimate. The Democrats lost Congress. They lost the White House. So what do? They begin trying to run the country through federal judges and bureaucrats. Every time that a federal judge issues an order saying that the President of the United States can scratch his own back without his say-so, that's the Civil War. Our system of government is based on the Constitution, but that's not the system that runs this country. The Democrat system is that any party of government that runs gets total and unlimited power over the country. If the Democrats are in the White House, then the president can do anything. I mean, anything. He can have his own amnesty for illegal aliens. He can fine you for not having health insurance. His power is unlimited. He is a dictator. But on the other hand, when Republicans get into the White House, suddenly the president can't do anything. He isn't even allowed to undo the illegal alien amnesty that his predecessor illegally invented. A Democrat in the White House has discretion to completely decide every aspect of immigration policy. A Republican, on the other hand, doesn't have discretion to reverse him. So that's how the game is played. That's how our country is run. Sad but true, although the left hasn't yet won that particular fight. When a Democrat is in the White House, states aren't even allowed to enforce immigration law. But when a Democrat is in the White House, states aren't even allowed to enforce immigration law, right? But when a Republican is in the White House, states can create their own immigration laws. Under Obama, a state wasn't allowed to go to the bathroom without asking permission. But under Trump, Jerry Brown can go around and saying that California is an independent republic and sign treaties with other countries. The Constitution has something to say about that, right? Whether it's federal, state, executive, legislative, or judiciary, the left must power around to run the country. The left moves power around to run the country. If it controls an institution, then that institution is suddenly the supreme power in the land. This is what I call a moving dictatorship. So, that's an article by Minzy, M-I-N-Z-Y. So basically what he's saying is that the Democrats move the goalpost. They dictate the terms. Whatever they say goes. In other words, conservative principles, the Constitution, who cares? That doesn't matter. It's what Democrats say that goes. The goalpost is moved. They win at any cost, ruin a man to win. Destroy an entire group of people, Black Americans, just to win, just to hold power, just to be in control. That's the Democratic playbook. And people who haven't seen this, what they're doing now, every single time that there's some political candidate that comes up for office that the Democrats don't like, here comes the sexual allegations. Here comes the accusations. And people who are not aware of this playbook, this pattern and practice from the Democrats, they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention. They're sleeping through life and they're being reactionary. And that's not sufficient. The majority of Americans American people should not want their government or their policies dictated by the lowest common denominator, by a group of hoodlums that move the goalposts, by a group of thugs. That's what the Democrats are, a group of thugs. Oh, this is what Judge Janine called them. What did she say? The demo rats? No, the demon rats. That's what I'm going to start. The demon rats. Who wants their country dictated to by the demon rats? All you have to, and they're the leftists, okay? They're the extreme left. All you have to do is go to any of these cities to see how they wield their power. Are they successful at it? Are they successful in Chicago? Is Chicago successful? Is Baltimore successful? Is Philadelphia successful? Los Angeles, 40% of the homeless are Black Americans. So the point of it is that Democrats just want power for power's sake. They're not principled. They don't have values. Their ideology is win at any cost. And that's what we're witnessing now with this Kavanaugh hearing. And I hope that, when I come back from being in DC, from the writers' workshop, I cannot anticipate what will take place. But I hope that conservatives, I hope that Republicans, I hope that Grassley, I hope the vote is taken and Kavanaugh is confirmed. Because even after this third accuser, there'll be a fourth. There'll be a fourth accuser. Am I right? So anyway, we're down to 3 minutes. And what I want to do is I want to take some time now to thank want to thank Kevin, my engineer, who's helping me. Thank you, Kevin, very much. I also want to thank RJ. You know, I don't take the time to do this. I want to thank RJ, who really has been fantastic with the Naked Truth Report. He's been so supportive of the show. I really appreciate him. I also want to thank everyone. I want to thank Brooke, who's my call screener. And I also want to thank Jeff, who's my engineer now. You know, I had Sullivan before. I want to thank him too. I just feel so grateful. My heart is so full of gratitude because the Naked Truth Report is doing so well, and it's a good thing. I'm grateful because, you know, I know when things don't go well, you know, and they're going really well here at AM 870, and I'm very grateful of that. So, the other thing I want to mention is you guys know that I want to get this tour. What is it? The Democratic Party Has Destroyed Black America tour. This is a very important tour. I'm trying to find an underwriter, and I haven't yet. So I'd like to ask my Truth Warriors to actually help me raise funds for that. You can make a donation for the Democratic, because we're going to get this done. We're going to get this done, and I'd like to get it done as soon as possible because we have the midterm elections coming up. So please, I'm asking you to go to the Naked Truth Report website, thenakedtruthreport.com, and make a donation. Support the show. Support the tour. Your money will be going towards the tour. The Democratic Party Has Destroyed Black America tour. We know we have the 4 black men to be our panel. We want to take this nationwide. We have Brandon Tatum, the amazing Lucas, Adrian Norman, and David J. Harris. And we have other men like Leo and some other guys that I want to have on. So I'm asking my Truth Warriors to please go to the website, thenakedtruthreport.com, and make a donation for the tour. I hear my music, and I want to thank you very much for listening. And, you know, I'll see you next week, right? Bye.